This has been a tough week for Gauteng. We've seen the highest cases recorded since the pandemic started. We've seen the highest percentage test positivity since the pandemic started. So we're not in a very good situation in terms of COVID-19 pandemic. Gauteng is driving the COVID-19 pandemic in South Africa in the third wave. So the contribution of all the other provinces to the current South African third wave is minimal. And this was borne by the fact that in the last few weeks we've been seeing between 60 and 62% of all new cases in South Africa have been reported in Gauteng province. So if you look at the two arrows that I've put there on the right wave for the third wave, you can see alert level 2 was implemented on 30th of May. That was just over 3 weeks ago. Clearly that alert level was not sufficient to stem the tide. Alert level 3 was implemented, the president announced it on 15th of June, but it started on 16th of June. So we're now on day 8, at least by the time this data was presented. It might be too soon to see what the impacts are, but so far there hasn't been any impact clearly because the number of cases has increased. And as I said yesterday, we had 10,000 cases per day.
Up until 2 days ago, all the numbers appear to be following a trajectory, so we could say, well, the peak will happen, say, the first week of July, but what we're seeing now is that as of yesterday, we have a significant jump that now is taking those numbers to be significantly above the worst-case scenario. So that is helping us understand whether the situation is under control or not. If today and tomorrow the numbers are the same level as yesterday, we certainly have to consider the possibility that we may be encountering a second spike, similar, maybe less, but yes, similar to the one we had 2 weeks ago, and that of course will certainly trigger the alarm in that we may need tighter and harsher measures to be implemented to curb it.
So in summary, what we're saying is we have a pandemic trajectory that has continued to increase. And as Prof showed, it's on track towards the worst case scenario. Its modeling is very consistent with the data to show us that. We need tighter restrictions, and that might require government-imposed non-pharmaceutical interventions. In other words, the lockdown measures that the National Coronavirus Command Council often makes a decision about. And we need to balance the health with the economic considerations. Livelihoods are always affected whenever we have harsh lockdown measures, such as lockdown level 5, even lockdown level 4. And so the recommendations we've been making to the Provincial Coronavirus Command Council and the Premier is that level 5 is way too stringent, and it will have a disastrous effect on the economy and people's livelihoods. And also it's quite late in the pandemic trajectory to expect to see a big impact. And so one of the things we've been proposing is perhaps a hybrid of existing level 3 measures together with some level 4 measures in one, if possible.